what's a typical Songs life cycle? For example, when I buy a building, I know the whole building probably lasts for like 100 years, and I may hold it for like 5 years to 10 years. Like I know when I'm exiting. So what does that look like for a song?
Actually, Connor has a chart that shows that. So maybe while he's bringing up, we alluded to it already, but it's nice to see it in visual form.
Right,
But
exactly.
you know, so it's really when something gets created and is released, and all the marketing effort is out there, that it's going to generate the most amount of money, right? And radio does pay more than streaming. So what, but as we said before, once in natural resources, you've got the gas well that flares, and then it goes into a long tail for 20, 30, 40 years. It's that long tail you're trying to put on. Now,
So if it's
when you're talking about something that's a classic, just think about the fact that in practical terms, none of us were playing anything from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s for the better part of 15 years, during the downturn after Napster, right? So it's important to realize that the classics, that unique group of popular top 10,000 songs, are growing, and that's the Dancing in the Moonlight example that we've seen, firsthand, right? Because there's a much, much, much bigger audience than there was in the past.
This is so interesting to look at. So where
yeah,
did you
so
actually come from on this chart?
um
I
so
mean, yeah.
on this chart of hypothetical cash flow from a new song, most are just declining. However, it's the classic top songs that once they are in their long tail, they're growing with streaming, and that's for, I guess, a number of reasons: smartphone adoption and another batch of people paying for streaming music. And then on top of that, there was I guess it's more akin to maybe rent control. Um, the Music Modernization Act was signed in the US, which basically states that royalty payments from the DSPs, digital streaming providers, have to increase double over the next 5 years.
Wow. Okay. So that's very, very helpful to know. So interesting. So essentially, I think you guys are just looking at that list, which will have the possibility of the hockey stick up at a later life cycle, right?
Yeah, and that only happens to the trophy properties.